Good morning, guys. This is Becca, and I'm here with sweet little Joanna. Mama's little Joanna Sue. How are y'all doing today? We have had a very eventful morning. Is that the way you want to put it? I had just got up from my morning nap, and I was just got my coffee, hadn't even started drinking it yet. I was getting settled to sit down and drink my coffee, and like I do every morning. And all of a sudden I hear this pop. Something to that effect. I'm not good at sound effects. Oh my goodness. I mean, it was loud. It was loud. Pop. And so I jumped up and went and looked out the door. And right past my house, there's a house right next to me, their driveway, and then there's like a road right between that house and another house right down there. And a big, a huge branch, can't call it a limb, a huge branch fell out of one of the trees and fell across the road, and there was a car pulling out of that driveway, the second house over from me. They were pulling out of their driveway. Just as that big old branch fell out of that tree, fell on the car. It blocked the road. No one could get through. So, this, y'all know how busy this road is. And on this side of my house, there's a steep curve right before you come. There's like three houses over from me on that side. And right before you get to that first house, there's this steep curve that you can't see around. And, people fly on this road. And I just knew there was going to be a car pile up. People coming around that curve and not knowing that the road was blocked and there was cars stopped there. And so I kept watching, and a truck driver had pulled up in an 18-wheeler and stopped. He couldn't go through. He stopped and got out and went to see what was going on. And so I went out to the fence outside and there, and as he was coming back to his truck, I asked him, was the lady, it was a lady, and that was in the car, and I asked her, was she okay? And he said, yeah. But paramedics came, and I missed whether they put her in the ambulance and took her, to the hospital or anything. They had gotten her out of the car just as the paramedics was coming up. They had gotten her out of the car, and she was sitting in a chair. Somehow or another, they had her a chair, I guess off of her porch or something, because it looked like it was that lady that lives in 2 houses over from me. And I seen her sitting in the chair, and so the truck driver had said she was okay, but the paramedics came up, and I missed. The next time I looked out, after the paramedics had gotten there, then the next time I looked out, they were gone. The paramedics was, so I missed whether they had put her in, and took her to be checked out. But they had to get a wrecker. They couldn't get her car until the town or county or whoever does that come, and they had to cut the tree up, in pieces and get it off the road, move it off the road where cars could pass. And when they got that all cleaned up, they put her car, you know, up on a wrecker and took it off. It was so scary when I heard that. I mean, I heard it cracking. It was just, you could just hear, you know, loud cracking, and then BAM! When it hit the ground. I am so thankful she's okay. So they do have it all cleaned up now, and the traffic's able to go through. But it was a scary situation there. Really scary. But anyway, that's the start of our Rocking with Becca today. What a start. Oh my goodness. But I got little Joanna here, and she's going to be our baby of the day and visit with us on Rocking with Becca. And so I have a shout out. I come across this. I don't remember if this person commented on one of my videos or if I just happened to come across it. I can't remember, because I was going to shout her out last Saturday, but I wasn't able to do Rocking with Becca last Saturday. So it's been a couple of weeks since, you know, almost 2 weeks since I found her, so I don't remember all the details of how I've come across this channel. But the channel name is, I guess, just her name, Denise. And I will have it linked in the title of this video. But she only has 3 videos, and they're very short. And I've watched all 3. And I've commented on, I know one of them. I may have commented on all of them. I can't remember. But she only has 7 subbies. So I thought I would give her a shout out and see if we could help her grow her channel a little bit. Maybe you could go over and watch the videos that she has up and comment on them. When I looked this morning to find out how many subbies she had, she's, what was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say about that. Was I going to say 13 is in my mind? Was I going to say she only had 13 comments? No, 13 days. I knew 13 was in my mind, but I lost my train of thought, guys. So sorry. But it's been 13 days since she put up her last video. That is what I was going to say. Guys, I'm burning up. The humidity here is so bad. And I have a dehumidifier in almost every room. The only rooms I don't have one in is the kitchen and the bathroom. I am burning slap up. If the humidity wasn't so bad, then it wouldn't be so hot. But it just feels sticky and wet and damp. But anyway, it's been 13 days since her last video, and I thought maybe if you all would go and watch her videos and comment on them, let her know I sent you, and maybe, you know, it will encourage her to do more videos. So I wanted to give her a shout out and see if we can help her grow her channel. So we've done our baby of the day, and we've done our topic. I mean, not a topic, a shout out. And we've done our events for the morning. Oh, I'm so glad that lady was okay. That was so scary. Before I found out she was okay, I was so worried about her. I mean, she may be banged up and needed to go be checked out, but she got out of her car. I mean, once someone got there and helped her, I'm sure she was very shook up. But she got out of her car and walked to the chair. I don't know where, like I said, I don't know where they got the chair. But she was sitting in a chair. But anyway, so I was going to talk on this last Saturday. And like I said, I wasn't able to do Rocking with Becca. But I told y'all that I would tell you the fishing story. And I can't remember if I've ever told this. It seems like, in the back of my mind, it seems like I have told this story before on Rockin' Rebecca. But I couldn't tell you which one it was on, and I couldn't tell you how far back it was since I've told it. So I'm sure I have new subbies since that time that has never heard it, and you may remember me telling it once I get started telling it. I don't know if I told it, because it really does seem like I've told it before. But anyway, I'm going to tell you about it again, and it was years ago, guys. First off, I want it to be known that I am a city girl. I haven't lived in the city since I was 12 years old. And we didn't actually live in the city then. We lived in a, what do you call that, suburb out from the city. But we had to do all of our shopping and stuff in the city. I can't remember we lived in Kenner. Okay, we lived in Kenner, Louisiana, from the time I was 2 years old till I think I was 12 when we moved from Kenner, Louisiana. And like I said, even back then we lived in the suburbs. We didn't live in the city, but I was still a city girl because we did everything cityfied, if you want to call it that. We didn't live country. We bought our food from the grocery store. You know, everything we ate, we bought from the grocery store. We didn't have gardens, and, you know, we lived in neighborhoods. We didn't live out in the country. You know, we was in the suburbs of the city. And I was raised, you know, like a city girl would be raised. And back then. Now, I'm sure the city's totally different now, but back then, that was, what, 50-something years ago. But anyway, I'm telling you that so you can understand just what was happening. And maybe you can imagine what I was feeling. So like I said, when I was around 12, we moved to another state. Well, the state I'm living in now. And, you know, I grew up from being 12 on up till I think I was 15. And we moved from the small town we was living in to the suburbs of a small city. You know, not like a big New York City, but a small city. We moved when I was 15 years old to a suburb from outside of a small city. And, you know, I was still at home and we were city. You know, we didn't raise gardens. We didn't have animals. We lived in neighborhoods. You know, we bought all of our stuff from the store. Probably you could ask me where milk come from. No, I knew it came from cows, but, you know, that's just an expression I'd say from the grocery store, you know, because that's all we knew was buying stuff from the grocery store. But I was pretty cityfied. And my mom was not a real big cook. I mean, she cooked and she provided for the family, you know, and fed us meals and stuff like that. But when she taught us to cook, we cooked from boxes and cans and frozen meat and, you know, frozen vegetables or canned vegetables, you know. like you would buy from the grocery store. And that's the way she taught us to cook. I did not know how to make biscuits and homemade gravy and, you know, cooking fresh vegetables. And I didn't know how to do all that because we didn't eat that way. And Mama didn't cook that way, so she didn't teach us to, you know, to cook that way. So, anyway, I'm just kind of laying the foundation here of how cityfied I was. That's what I like to call it. I'm cityfied. Because I married a man by the time I was 16 years old. Okay, within 6 months, I met my husband. We went together, got engaged, and got married in 6 months' time. So I was 16 when we got married. My husband was the total opposite of me. Totally opposite. He was raised in the country. They raised their vegetables. They raised their hogs for meat. They went hunting for deer and, you know, and squirrel and rabbit, and, you know, that's the way they lived. But they lived more like my mama would have lived, you know, back in her day. For a good bit of my husband's life, I don't remember just the exact age, but most of his life they didn't have an indoor bathroom. You know, my husband was he was from a very poor family, and they lived like my mom would have lived. And they had to, for a good while, they had to go to the creek and get buckets of water to have water. They didn't have running water, didn't have a well. You know, they just really lived like my mom back in her younger days, or my grandparents, you know, would have lived. Totally country. They lived out in the country. They didn't live in a suburb neighborhood or anything. They lived way out in the country. And like I said, they raised their own gardens. They raised their own hogs for meat. They had chickens for eggs and to cook and eat. You know, they lived like my mom had to live when she was a girl. And so that's totally different. It was foreign to me. It was foreign. So I'm telling you all that to put the foundation of, I really, you know, my husband and I are so totally different in everything. I don't know how we made it for 47 years we've been married. I don't know. I can't keep up with it. You do the math. I got married at 16 and I'm 63 now. So you do the math. I can't keep up with that. So, anyway, hubby and I had already been married for, how many years? We was married almost 2 years when our first son was born. So that was, and he was 3 years later, so let's see, we was married about 5 years. But at 2 years, we was married about 2 years, and we moved from the state I'm living in now, and hubby and I moved to Louisiana. Not the same town, same place. We moved to a different city, or it really was like a town. Not a real small town, but nowhere close to a city type environment. We moved to Franklin, Louisiana. And we rented a house, a little shotgun house. And, you know, I tried my best to be a good wife. And my husband, you know, he's, like I said, outdoorsy. He always hunted and fished and, you know, always done things. But then when we moved to Louisiana, he added to that going crabbing and crawfishing and, you know, the things, frogging, the things that, you know, the Cajuns did. I loved it there. I loved it in Kenner, Louisiana when I was a girl, and I loved it when we moved to Franklin. I just love the Cajun people. I love I love the way they eat. I love their friendliness. I just love it. And I loved living there. And we actually lived there 7.5 years before we moved back to the state I live in now. But anyway, all that being said, I tried to be a good wife. I tried to adjust to, um, you know, the things that my husband enjoyed doing. I tried my best to be a good wife. And, you know, I didn't always accomplish it. I had my faults, and I was a crybaby when we first got married, and, you know, because I could just cry and get my way with Mama, and I thought it would work with hubby, and it didn't. And, you know, I was a baby. I was only 16 years old when I got married. And I had to adjust to all of these differences, and it was hard. It was really hard. But I decided, well, I didn't decide. I don't know what I'm saying. one night, or one afternoon, after hubby I believe it was after he got home, I was 5 months pregnant with my second child. And hubby wanted to go fishing. I cannot, still to this day, cannot stand to, you know, to sit on the side of a bank in a grassy, you know, a grassy bank and just sit there and fish. That's just, I've tried it over and over and over. I've tried to enjoy it for my husband's sake. I really tried. I tried hard. But I was always scared of snakes and spiders and bugs, and, you know, I was a city girl. You know, we didn't have all that stuff to deal with. You know, we did have to deal with roaches if we didn't keep it sprayed, but Mama always had a pest control come in and keep our house sprayed so we wouldn't have to deal with roaches. And, you know, in the places, I don't know if you all have roaches where you're at, but, you know, in these hot and humid places, you have certain kind of bugs and things and rodents that you have to worry about. And, you know, so you have to find a way to keep it down. And, you know, I just wasn't used to that. And, oh, I would just feel chill bumps going over me, thinking that I might step on a snake or just be standing there and one, you know, slither up to me, or a spider bite me, or, you know, it was just, I hated it. But I found that I could tolerate and kind of enjoy fishing out of a boat. And so hubby would try to work it out that if I went fishing with him, we'd go out in a boat. So he found these ponds way back on the side of a levee. Well, I don't know if it was a levee, but it was way out. I can't remember now. But you had to go on this, back in the woods, on just a dirt path, mainly, that just one vehicle could go through, you know, and hardly anybody went back there. You purposely went when you went back there. So, this day, it may have been a weekend, I can't even remember. But, our next door neighbor was good friends of ours, so we left our oldest son. He was only 3 at the time. We left him with the next door neighbor. She kept him for us. And so here hubby and I take off out to those ponds to go fishing. And if you know anything about Louisiana and the old clay dirt, and well, it wasn't really clay, it was an old boggy, almost quicksand type situation when the dirt got wet. But it wasn't raining. We didn't know it was gonna rain, anything. But my husband hooked up to the boat trailer, and here we take off, and we get out there, and he launches the boat, and we get in it, and we go around the pond fishing, and I enjoyed it. You know, I made myself learn to, if he would compromise a little bit with me, I could compromise a little bit and go fishing in a boat if I didn't have to stand on a grassy bank. We've even went fishing places that it looked like a nice place, you know, as far as that goes. It was, the bank had rocks, big, beautiful boulder rocks that was keeping the bank, you know, from eroding and all, and it looked nice. There was no grass or anything, but we went there a few times. But I could imagine me sitting there on a rock fishing and a snake come crawling out of the cracks of the rocks. I could not get that out of my mind, and I couldn't enjoy it because I was scared to death. But like I said, I could enjoy, or, you know, partially enjoy fishing out of a boat. And I caught a lot of fish. I wouldn't bait my hook because I wasn't touching no worm. My husband had to bait my hook, and I wasn't going to touch no fish to get it off the hook. So really all I did was held the pole and reeled it in when I got a bite. My husband baited the hook. He couldn't even really fish if the fish was biting a lot. He couldn't even fish because he was too busy, you know, baiting my hook. I'd catch one and reel it back in. He'd have to take it off the hook for me. I wasn't touching it. I'm sorry, I'm not touching that. And so we went, and we was out in the boat, and it come up a little shower. I mean, it wasn't even hard enough that we had to, you know, that we got wet. It just come up, just a short little shower, and we got a little sprinkled on, and we went on about our business fishing. Well, then when it got time we was gonna leave, he, you know, loads the boat back up, hooks everything back up, and we start out to go home. We don't get very far down that dirt path, and it didn't take very much rain. The road was horrible. We was a slipping and a sliding, and the truck would kind of turn what fishtail, I guess they call it, and he was going slow. But the thing is, that road was right on the side of a drop-off, and you just had this little old path, muddy path. Now there were trees and things, not huge trees, but there were trees on the side of the road, but there was, you know, you could look over on the passenger side, and as you was going out from the ponds, and see the drop-off. You know, like I said, there were trees on the side, but you could see the drop-off, and it was way down there. And so here we are, we're slipping and we're sliding, and he's trying to keep the truck on the path, and oh my goodness. And I'm 5 months pregnant, and I'm scared to death, and I'm a hollering, and I'm a crying, and I'm scared to death that we're gonna slide, because the truck was, like I said, it would fishtail, and he would try to go over a little bit. There was no way to go over on the other side, because I think there were trees right there. You couldn't go over. There was no room to go off of the path on the driver's side of the vehicle. There was just a little bit of space on the passenger side, and he was trying to get where he wouldn't be in so much of the boggy mud that he would be slipping and sliding. Oh my goodness, I got so scared. I was so scared. And finally, we felt the truck, and we felt it sliding, and there was no stopping it. And we felt it slide, and it happened to lean up against one of those trees. Like I said, there wasn't very big trees. They wasn't very big around, but there was a lot of them. But they wasn't very big. They wasn't real sturdy trees. And so I felt it. Oh my goodness, I felt it sliding, and I was screaming, and it caught one of the trees, or a couple of the trees stopped it from sliding on down that bank, or we might have been dead. So it was stuck there. He couldn't get it out. He tried, but when it slid to the side, he knew that he didn't need to try it no more, because it could cause it to go on down the side of that bank. So here we are. By this time, it was night. So here we are, and it's dark. I'm 5 months pregnant. Back then, there was no cell phones. And so here I am, 5 months pregnant, and we're stuck. Oh my word. Oh my word. So for me to get out of the truck, I had to crawl over to the driver's side and get out that way, because my door was against a tree. There wasn't no opening the door on my side and getting out. So we didn't have cell phones then. You know, here we are. Nobody knew except for our next door neighbor. And she wasn't expecting us to come get Chris that night. We was just going to let him spend the night with her. And there we are. So we get out of the truck, and hubby says the only thing we can do is start out walking home. Only thing we can do. So here it is, dark. We down this little old dirt path that is way down at the path. The dirt path was a pretty long section there. I don't know how many miles, but it was pretty long. I know it was about 5 miles from the ponds to our house, but I don't know just how many miles the actual dirt path was. So here we are. We start out from the truck, and like I said, the mud was just, I don't really know how to explain it, but it was sticking to our shoes and weighting us down. It was just, we couldn't hardly even pull our foot out of the mud to take another step. It was just bad. So hubby said, we're just going to have to take our shoes off and walk barefooted. Well, not thinking about it, we threw our shoes in the back of the truck, you know. Not thinking about, once we get off that path, we're going to be walking on asphalt, you know, a road and rocks. And because a portion of it, once you get out of the deep woods part of that path, a a portion of that road was rocks and shells and stuff. So here we are. We start out. We had thrown our shoes in the back of the truck, not thinking. And we take off walking to go home. And we walk and we walk. No, our oldest son was with us. He was only about 3 years old. Because I do remember now, he was with us. And he'd walk a little while. But, you know, him being small, only 3 years old, he couldn't walk much. Hubby had to tote our son on his shoulders all the way. You know, because a 3-year-old couldn't walk like that. I do remember now he was with us. And so we would walk until we couldn't walk no more, and we would stop and lay down in the grass on the side of the road. Now, guys, that's why I told you about me being how cityfied I am and how scared of snakes and bugs and spiders and things that how scared I am. But I was so, you know, here I am 5 months pregnant, and I was worried about doing all that walking. But I laid down. I was, you know, so tired and in so much pain. And then after we got out of the mud part of that trail we was on, our feet was killing us. You know, walking on those rocks and those shells and stuff. And our feet was so sore and it was hurting so bad. It was so bad that I laid down in the grass. I laid back in the grass in the dark at night, not knowing what I was laying on. But that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. And we'd have to stop every so often because I just could not keep going. And with hubby carrying the extra load of our son on his shoulders, he needed to rest, you know. But we ended up walking all the way home. All the way home. So, yeah, I remember now it was another incident. It was the bear incident. I know I told you about us thinking a bear was coming through the woods at us. It was... No, we had the kids with us that night. I can't remember. We did a lot with our kids. We hardly ever left our kids. They was always with us. Very few times we left them. But anyway, you know, like I said, we didn't have cell phones. Nobody checked on us. But, you know, they didn't know to. And we walked that whole 5 miles, and me 5 months pregnant. You know what? I think it was 7 miles. It was 7 miles. We walked home that whole 7 miles, having to take breaks. We started out right before it got completely dark because hubby said, you know, we need to get out of here before dark. But, you know, with our slipping and sliding and having to walk, we was 12 o'clock getting home. And we left the truck before dark. And it took us that long because, you know, we'd have to stop and take breaks. And we walked all the way home. And like I said, we walked barefoot on rocks after we got out of the mud part of that trail. And then we walked on the asphalt on home. And oh my goodness, it was horrible, guys. It was horrible. Needless to say, that was the last time I went to that pond. Needless to say, I think that was the last time I went fishing in Louisiana. I don't think I ever went back fishing again, whether it was in a boat or not. Especially I didn't go down to the ponds. I did go fishing a few times after we moved back to the state we're living in now. And I did go a few times with him But like I said, I hate standing in the grass or standing on rocks that snakes could come out of. And you know, if I can't be in the boat where snakes can't get to me, I don't want it. So I did go a few times with hubby after that, after we moved to the state we're living in now, but not very often. But that did me. That did me. I did not go back to those ponds again, because I wasn't going to put myself in that situation again. It was a horrible situation. And I was so, you know, I was young. I had my last child at 21 years old. Now, I did get pregnant after that and had a miscarriage at 3 months. But my last child, I was still a baby when I had my last child. I was only 21 years old. And that did me in. Oh my goodness. It was a horrible experience. I was scared to death that I maybe would cause myself to miscarry walking that much when I wasn't used to walking. You know, I've never been a real active person where I did a lot of exercise or a lot of walking on a daily basis or anything. You know, if I was used to walking, then that probably would not have been anything to worry about. But I wasn't used to walking a lot like that. And I was so scared it was going to cause me to miscarry. And it was a horrible, our feet were so sore, so scratched up and raw and hurting. And oh, it was awful. It was awful. So that's the fishing story. That's my fishing story. And I totally refused to go back to that pond again. Of course, I don't think hubby even ever asked me to go back again. But, you know, that's why I told a lot about how cityfied I am. Because if I laid down in that grass, not knowing what I was laying back on, you know I'm in a bad shape. Oh, but that's the fishing story, guys. I don't know if I've ever told it before. I know I told the incident where we was going to go camping at night, and incident about a noise in the woods. I've told that story before. But oh my goodness. Guys, go back if you haven't watched my other Rockin' with Becca's. Go back, binge watch it. You never know what you'll hear on my Rockin' with Becca. So anyway, I wanted to tell that to you today and tell you about Denise. Go check her out, and maybe we can help her and encourage her to make more videos and help her channel to grow. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I have to say today. And my hubby called. I seen it popped up on the phone while I was telling the story. I need to go and call him back. And I sent him a short little video about the incident, so he's probably wanting to know what's going on about that. So I need to go and get back in contact with him. And I hope y'all enjoyed the fishing story today, and I will have that in the title, the fishing story. So anyway, I'm going to let y'all go. I hope y'all have a wonderful Saturday, a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a great time with family and friends, or doing things you enjoy doing. Guys, if I can be right here and not have to go anywhere or do anything other than in the house, I'm happy. I'm a city girl. Of course, city girls usually like to go shopping. I don't even want to get out of the house and go shopping. So anyway, I'm going to let y'all go. I've rattled enough. I hope y'all have enjoyed today's little Rocking with Becca. And I hope you have a great weekend. Talk with you all later.